August 9, 1943. Every newsstand in America carried the same striking image. Terry Allen's face stared out from the cover of Time magazine. Inside, the article hailed him as one of the finest division commanders the U.S. Army had ever produced, a rising star whose legend grew with every hard-won victory. Readers across the country were captivated, reading about a true combat leader. There was just one brutal twist. By the time that magazine hit the streets, Terry Allen was already out of a job. 2 days earlier, on August 7, Omar Bradley had relieved him of command. Allen's 1st Infantry Division, the legendary Big Red One, had just captured Troina in one of the bloodiest battles of the entire Sicilian campaign. They had won every major engagement in North Africa and Sicily. They had stopped a ferocious German Panzer counterattack that could have driven the whole Allied invasion back into the sea. And Bradley's response? He sent Allen home in disgrace. The official reason? Discipline problems. His men didn't salute sharply enough. Their uniforms were too dirty. They got into bar fights. They treated military police like the enemy. So while American newsstands were celebrating Terry Allen as a hero, the man himself was already aboard a transport ship headed back to the United States, relieved, humiliated, and wondering if his career was finished at age 55. Think about that timing. Bradley fires him on the 7th. Time magazine lands on newsstands on the 9th, with Allen's face on the cover. The Army had just publicly sacked the general the entire country was calling one of its best combat leaders. That's not a good look. And it was about to get a whole lot worse for Omar Bradley. Because George Marshall, the Army Chief of Staff, was watching closely. And Marshall was about to give Terry Allen something Bradley never saw coming. A second chance. Terry Allen arrived at West Point in 1907 with military blood in his veins. His father was an Army colonel. His grandfather fought at Gettysburg in the Garibaldi Guard. 4 generations of Allens had worn the uniform. But Terry was different. He had severe dyslexia. Reading was physical agony. He compensated by memorizing everything he heard, but academics were a constant nightmare. He failed out of West Point twice. Most men would have taken the hint. The Army clearly didn't want them. Find another path. Move on. Not Terry Allen. He enrolled at Catholic University in Washington, joined ROTC, and slipped into the Army as a commissioned officer through the back door in 1912. The West Point ring-knockers looked down on him. He wasn't one of them. He hadn't earned his commission the right way. Allen didn't care. He was exactly where he wanted to be. And for the next 30 years, he would prove that West Point grades mean nothing when bullets start flying. In 1918, at age 30, Allen was already commanding an infantry battalion. He personally led patrols into no man's land when regulations said battalion commanders should stay safely behind the lines. During the Meuse-Argonne offensive, a German machine gun bullet tore through his jaw. Most officers would have taken the medical evacuation and never looked back. Allen talked the doctors into sending him straight back to the front, still bleeding. He showed up at his unit with bandages soaked red. His men didn't know whether to be inspired or terrified. They decided on both. His superiors found him impossible. He drank too much. He ignored regulations he thought were stupid. He treated military ceremony like a waste of time that could be better spent training. But he won. Every fight his battalion was in ended in American victory. After the armistice, Allen returned to the peacetime Army. He bounced between cavalry posts, got into trouble, got out of trouble, and built a reputation as the officer you wanted when the shooting started, and nowhere else. Then George Marshall noticed him. By 1940, Lieutenant Colonel Terry Allen was facing yet another chewing out and possible court-martial. Then a telegram arrived. He had been promoted to brigadier general, skipping the permanent rank of colonel entirely. George Marshall had personally intervened. The Army Chief of Staff was rebuilding the military for the war he knew was coming. He didn't need parade ground perfectionists. He needed combat leaders. Marshall wrote that Allen was outstanding as a leader who could do anything with men and officers, though unprepossessing in appearance and apparently casual in manner. Other generals thought Marshall had lost his mind. Allen was a drunk, a troublemaker, a two-time West Point dropout. Marshall saw something else. A man who understood that wars are won by soldiers who will follow their commander anywhere, not by soldiers who can march in perfect formation. In May 1942, Marshall gave Allen command of the 1st Infantry Division, the Big Red One. It was one of the most coveted assignments in the entire army. And that's when he met the man who would try to destroy his career. Major General Omar Bradley.